Another video on fermenting. So it's gooseberry crumble. I'm using tin gooseberries because I can't be bothered to prep gooseberries, and they're kind of quite expensive. So in the tin they're kind of quite inexpensive. That's the brand. I've put it in 3 kilos, net weight of 2.45 kilograms. There's a little bit of juice left in there. I always strain them of the juice, otherwise the crumble is always a little bit too wet. I normally take the juice from the bottom, all that juice in there, and I reduce it down and then add it back to the gooseberry crumble, so you kind of get more an intense flavour of gooseberry and a little bit of like sugar as well, so we don't like waste. But since I'm fermenting things, I was thinking the other day, I reckon we could ferment that juice, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm at work, it's gooseberry crumble at work, but that juice is coming home with me, and we're going to add some of my homemade collected yeast. I'm going to see if it ferments. I'll stick my finger in. Stick my finger in there. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. I'm not going to add any sugar. I don't think it's too acidic to kill the yeast, so we'll see. It should ferment, and that'll be kind of quite interesting. The place that I buy these gooseberries from, they did tell me that someone had bought a load and they were having to go making gooseberry wine out of it. So if someone else thinks it's possible, I think it's probably possible myself. So we'll have a go and we'll have a look at it tomorrow. And also, while we're here, I'm going to do the same with some peaches. So peach dish tomorrow. So what I'm going to do is peaches come in a light syrup. I normally do the same with the peaches. I normally drain off the syrup, reduce the syrup, and then add it back to the peaches. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to save the syrup. I'm going to see if we can ferment that as well, because that'll be kind of quite interesting. But there we go. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to collect those, collect that, take them home, and ferment them at home. Because I don't really think people want to see me fermenting things at work, because I don't know, people don't like that type of thing. But it's a home project, so we'll do it at home. So I've strained the juices just to kind of get any sediment out of them, and there's still a little bit of sediment in because it's like the cloth that I filtered them through is not not that good a filter, but obviously it's kind of quite a thicker liquid. So that's the gooseberry, that's the peach syrups, and then I've got some of my homemade yeast, which I've strained as well, just to get rid of all the excess bits. The more yeast you put in, the quicker the start of the fermentation process. But also, the more you put in, the more, because I made it from grapes, it's going to have a different flavour to it. So I don't put as much yeast in, and then I'm more likely to get like just the peachy fermentation, rather than like some grapey fermentation in there taste as well. Does that make sense? Yeah, so I'll get it out. The grapes, where I've got them, like that. So, you can see, ish. So, I need to put some more grapes in there. And the lid's not on properly, which is good because it needs to breathe. So, there's a flavour profile to that. And the more flavour, the more of that you put in, the more it's going to affect the flavour. So I don't put that much in. It's just going to take a longer time to start fermenting, but not that much longer. And then the airlocks go in. I've lost the plastic caps for the tops of these airlocks, so I've just put over a bit of cloth and secured it with an elastic band. So then those go in there. It needs to be a tight seal around the bottles. I have found this out. It's important that there's a tight seal because it's an airlock, so it needs to be airtight, and then the gas comes out through the airlock, and then nothing can get in. Hence why it's got that on the top, so no flies can get in the top of it or anything like that, or anything can fall into it. So we'll see how we go. I did put a little bit of liquid in with the syrups because I thought it was a little bit viscous, a little bit thick. So I just kind of thought that maybe I'll just put a little bit of liquid in there just to thin it down slightly. But it's all sterilised. I haven't heated and sterilised the liquids because I kind of thought they come out of a tin. therefore they're always sterilised. The only thinking about that, although the apple one worked. So I was fermenting some juice from some tinned apples, which is going quite well. It's this one here. So there was obviously some sterilisation kind of going on with the in the canning process. They obviously had some kind of additives to it. I'm not sure what those additives are. Sorry, the washing machine's going. So there are some kind of additives in the canning process. I don't know if that's going to have an effect on the fermentation process. It's going to kill the yeast or anything like that. There might be like an antibacterial in that. I don't know. We'll have to find out. But the carrots worked. No, the apples worked. So I can't see why these won't work. If they don't work, that's fine. We'll just throw them away. We haven't lost anything. It's not cost me anything. It's just a bit of fun, and then we'll kind of see how it turns out. And then I might see how. Use a bit of an experiment and see how it turns out after a few days. When it starts to really kind of bubble, we'll kind of see if we can drink it and it's fizzy. It won't be out. There'll be a little bit of alcohol in it at that stage. What basically happens is the yeast that you introduce to a liquid or foods starts fermenting. It breaks down the sugars. It produces carbon dioxide and alcohol. The carbon dioxide kind of bubbles out of it, and then when you get to a saturation point that the yeast has turned the liquid into alcohol, and the alcohol has got to a certain strength, it actually kills the yeast that's in the making the alcohol. So it kind of produces a thing that kills it in the end. It becomes to a saturation point where the alcohol kills it, because an alcohol is a preservative, along with sugar and salt and acid and other things as well. And that's why. And so, like the collected yeast from this that I've collected, it'll probably get to about 5-6% alcohol. I can't imagine it'd be anything more. You can buy proper brewing yeasts which go up to high percentages, but this is just something I've collected out of grapes, and I reckon it'll probably get to about 5%, something like that, because you don't actually know what yeast strain or yeast type you've actually collected. I think it will be a pretty standard yeast that I've collected, because it smells the same as when I did it before. It has a similar kind of taste, has a similar kind of smell. So I presume it's the yeast that I've collected before, and it was from grapes, whereas scientists have separated out different types of yeast, and some of these yeasts have different characteristics and kind of produce are better for different kind of brewing processes. Some are better for beer, some are better for wine, some are better for cider, some are better for sparkling, and all that kind of stuff. They're separated out. I haven't done that. I don't know what yeast I've got. I've just collected a yeast, and it ferments things. So, but I think if we're doing things at home, it's something we can do very cheaply, and we don't have to get things too complicated by buying yeast or buying specialized equipment. We can just get some bottles from wherever, and some airlocks, or we don't have to use airlocks. We can just get some old balloons. Buy some balloons, put the balloon over the top, put a hole in the balloon, a pinprick, and then what happens? That acts as an airlock, because there is sufficient pressure in the balloon as the carbon dioxide is released off, that it stops air from getting in through the pinprick, but there's enough air escapes that it's not going to build up too much pressure and explode the containers. That type of thing. So yeah, that's why you also have airlocks as well. So you don't have to burn them every day. Or you can put them in something like, you can ferment things in something like that, that's got one of these snap thingamajigs, but you just have to, you ferment it closed like that, so nothing can get in, and every day you just do that, release the air pressure, and hey presto. But you don't have to do that with airlocks, or if you're using the cheap alternative, which is balloons. But I'm waffling, which I always do, but I always kind of think it's important to know these things, and I'd want to know these things. So if I was watching this video, I hadn't made this video, and I was watching this video, I kind of want to know that information. So that's kind of why I probably waffle a little bit too much, but I think it's information that you kind of quite know, and once you know the information, you understand it, and then you can understand why things happen, why things go wrong, and then you can also, and then it kind of like you can go, oh, that happens. I wonder what happens if we do this, and we can. It leads to experimentation and more knowledge and knowing a lot more about things. But anyway, so I'm waffling. There we go. We'll see how these are in a couple of days. Right, a day later, and we're starting to ferment. I don't think we'll be able to catch a bubble, but there's growth there. Well, that's there we go. It's going to go as that. So there's bubbles on the top of the liquid, and then that's going to. Why don't you want to focus on that? You know, the bubble's going to go. It's going to go soon. There we go. Definitely fermenting. So that's fine. Don't know. So we'll see how it goes. I might. We'll just let it carry on fermenting, and then see what it kind of turns into. But it certainly works. So that means we could turn something into something fizzy, like a fizzy drink. There we go. That's definitely fermenting, and that's that one moved. That's definitely going as well, isn't it? That's almost going as well. It doesn't want to focus. Goodness only knows why. I'm not thinking of that. Into that. Although it doesn't look like it's got much going on the top of the liquid, it's certainly reducing carbon dioxide. It's going to show that you can take the juice from tinned fruit and you can ferment it. So that opens up all kinds of possibilities, doesn't it? Well, you can turn lots of things into alcohol. Will it then turn into vinegar? Not too sure. I'm not too sure. Will it become fizzy, like a drink, like ginger beer? Possibly. Come on, you what's that? I know you want to. So that's slowly fermenting, but there we go. So they're working. That's fine. We'll see how they turn out. Now you want to focus. We'll see how they turn out in a couple of weeks.